Hello, welcome to The Intersect, where academia, government, industry meet. I'm Matthew Bakovic. I'm joined by two of my colleagues today, Jesse Hedges and Dan Costa. Welcome.
Matt, thanks for having us.
Yes, thank you.
So today we're going to talk about penetration testing broadly, talk about the mission of your team, Jesse, the Applied Network Defense team. Dan will talk about pen testing in context, but I think we should just start with some basic definitions if we could. So a question for you, Dan. Sort of categorically, could you please describe or define penetration testing for us?
Yeah, certainly. So one of the things that we do here at the SEI with regards to how we contextualize penetration testing is help folks understand it relative to the broader mission of risk management and operational resilience management for organizations. We're big fans of measurement here at the SEI, and penetration testing, kind of at its most simplistic form, is just simply a matter of measurement. How can we take our technical skills and talents and apply those to enterprise networks and systems and make measurements of organizations' security posture with regards to the vulnerabilities that do or do not exist currently with their systems as they're configured, and what can we do with regards to showing folks how they can improve their security posture by addressing those vulnerabilities that our technical teams are able to identify.
So thanks, Dan. So penetration testing isn't just breaking stuff. It isn't just wearing a hoodie and trying to break into stuff. That's a really important point to make. It's about measurement, as you said, and it's about understanding something important about your organization so you can take some corrective action. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and I also think it goes to characterize why we do it here at a federally funded research and development center. Right? Anyone can break something. We explain how to break things, why they were broken, and how to fix them, right? So it's those enduring research and development challenges that our penetration testing areas of expertise on both the basic and applied research perspectives really go to inform those broader research goals we have in how organizations can become more operationally resilient to cyber threats.
Great, thanks, Dan. So Jesse, a question for you. The name of your team is the Applied Network Defense team. So we keep saying penetration testing, but could you tell us a little more about Applied Network Defense and what that means and the work that you do?
Yes, sure. So the Applied Network Defense team traditionally in the past has been a team that's focused on pen testing and red teaming. We are still very much focused on those things. But we've added a little bit of flavor to it by adding some capability to develop tools and improve processes and methodologies using, human-centered design. And so we are taking a little bit more of a holistic approach towards, securing those enterprise environments. And so on our team, we have pen testers that are very senior, very experienced, and then we've got people that are brand new, and they get to go on these pen testing engagements, learn from others, learn from people more experienced, mentor others if that's their thing too. But then they also get to participate in the development of additional tooling and really advancing the state of the practice, which I think is something unique and wonderful about our group.
Yeah. Thanks, Jesse. So you've said a few things that piqued my interest. So you've described an interdisciplinary approach to this.
Yes, absolutely.
So you're taking people with disparate backgrounds, disparate skill sets, you're bringing them together for the purpose of conducting this measurement or this assessment of security posture so it can make improvements. I mean,
right.
When you describe creating the tool set, I think it's a really important distinction that here at CERT, here at the Software Engineering Institute, we don't strive to simply just do pen testing, which is a noble pursuit and is certainly chief among the things we do, but we do that in pursuit of advancing the state of the art and the state of the practice.
Absolutely.
I mean, it's a key distinction. You mentioned having folks in different levels of experience, and I know that the team is looking for resources. We're looking for other folks to join us here at the SEI. I was wondering if Jesse and Dan, you could describe the open positions that you have currently in the A&D team, or just broadly in this domain of pen testing.
So I'll start. They run the gamut right now with regards to our open positions. So we have a position open where we're looking for a senior penetration testing engineer, someone who's been there and done that with regards to actually conducting penetration tests for private organizations across the government, has an understanding of critical infrastructure, but also has the ability and the interest in taking what they've learned from doing those pen tests and helping us to refine the process of conducting pen tests, of putting measurement instruments in place that lets organizations know how they know if they've gotten a good pen test. Is it aligned to their organization's security posture and objectives? What does it mean to be a good penetration tester? So kind of the workforce development aspects of this. And helping our less senior staff members kind of learn from what they've picked up, working in industry, working in government, and really just building upon the expertise that they've gained in that role of senior penetration testing engineer. And all the way down the org chart to our association penetration testing engineers. These are folks with less experience, maybe even less direct penetration testing experience, with a desire to help us kind of refine those processes, work alongside our senior penetration testers, go on penetration tests across critical infrastructure, across government, and help us to continue to refine the practice and themselves get closer to the research ideas and research questions that are still unsolved in this space. So our open positions really run the gamut currently.
Well, thanks, Dan.
Absolutely. It's really a diverse set of skill sets that we're looking for and that we have on the team. I really like what Dan said about, obviously, because we are all about advancing the state of the practice and having that holistic approach that I mentioned, a multidisciplinary approach. I'm thinking of this thing that one of our collaborators, Derek Spooner, said to me recently, was that in order to be a good pen tester, we need breakers and we need builders. And so the breakers are the folks that, you have to break things in a controlled manner so that, you're not going to light the world on fire. You have to have, the appropriate authorization to do those things.
Constrained breakage.
Constrained breakage, right. But you also want to be the builder too, so that you can understand how those tools are, how those applications are designed so that you can try to exploit them. Or if you really like building things in general, you can both pen test, break things, and then also contribute to the development of these additional tools that will enable you to be a better pen tester and to perform a higher quality pen test.
To put a finer point on it, we could not do the things that we're talking about doing with regards to contributing to the research and development of penetration testing capabilities with just a team of breakers or just a team of builders. Mm-hmm. We need both, and it's how our team has been successful at putting automated capabilities in place that scale, that are extensible, that are configurable, that let organizations tailor a penetration test to their specific needs.
Thanks, Dan. So I really like this description of the breakers and the builders. And I'm really hoping that folks can find themselves in the descriptions of these roles. So at a more detailed level, Jesse, if we can use the breakers and the builders as those two categories, just give us a quick overview of the background or the specific skills we're looking for in those two categories of folks that work at the SEI.
Right. Okay, great. So, we do enumerate quite a bit in the position description, but essentially what we're looking for are, excuse me, for our senior position, we are looking for folks with an OSCP, that wonderful monster certification that everyone loves, offensive security certified professional, the wonderful monster certification. We have folks that are going through that process right now. So
which is not easy.
It is not easy. It's a lot of work, and I should mention also here that even though these are skills that we are looking for, we also help support you to achieve those goals. So, in the senior role, we're certainly looking for someone that has more experience, that has already attained that level of expertise. But, you would have the opportunity to continue growing in whatever capacity, whatever area of the security domain that is important and interesting to you. And then down at our, sort of associate level that Dan was mentioning, those are folks that are newer and are more, they might be more passionate about the getting started in the work. And so we really want to capitalize on that passion, right? We want to have folks that feel really engaged in their work and believe in the mission of the organization. So for our associate roles, it's much more, do you have a relevant, a bachelor's degree in a relevant discipline that's stated in the job description? Do you have perhaps even a master's degree that is, in a relevant domain as well? And do you have any experience or interest in this domain? And then we kind of evaluate, case by case, really. We do try to have a much more equitable hiring process. We realize how important that is for hiring and retaining top talent. So every member of the team that is a potential, every candidate, a potential candidate, gets to meet the team and interview with the team, perform some, technical exercises that are within your skill set that we're asking for, and then the team kind of gets together and based on some kind of a rubric, we make a judgment of where, if we should bring this person on. So I wanted to explain that process because I think it is really important for folks to know that we are very committed to an equitable hiring process.
Absolutely.
And that your skills, the skills in the job description are super, super important. But in addition to those skills, we are really looking for people that are excellent collaborators, excellent communicators. It's super important to us for collaboration because we do use so many, we are very multidisciplinary. We need people that are able to communicate and talk about the issues that they're facing, the issues of insecurity in pen testing land, right? The most up-to-date exploits that we need to be addressing. And so anyway, all of that is to say that, take a look at the job description, but also we really want folks that are passionate, that have really good communication skills, that are great collaborators, that are interested in mentorship, that are interested in being mentored, that are interested in growth and learning opportunities. I can't stress this enough that we are absolutely committed to helping people reach their professional goals because we believe that folks that are happy and are meeting those goals, they do better work, right? They're more engaged. And it's important to us that as a team that you're engaged in your work and that you are feeling like you are having an impact on the community and on the organization. So that was a really long answer, Matt, sorry, but I kind of wanted to cover it all.
Yeah, absolutely. So I have a follow-on question for Dan, but Jesse, I want to unpack a few things you said. Certainly, we see diversity, equity, inclusion as part of our core value set here at the SEI. And this team, I think, is doing a really good job of making sure that drives our thinking about the way that we search for resources and bring them into the team. Especially as we described, a diversity of skills, backgrounds, experiences is really important for these roles. You also mentioned the mission. The mission, of course, of the Software Engineering Institute and CERT is not the same as working in a for-profit company that's focused on a specific niche customer set.
Right.
We're broad-based, focused on national defense, focused on advancing the state of the art, state of the practice, and on the larger securing the nation mission, and really securing the world in a way, which sounds a bit grandiose at times. But you mentioned the job descriptions. Please do visit our website if you have an interest in these roles. And please don't be intimidated by some of the descriptions. That we really are looking for folks that are a cross-section that represent the society in general, and also that set of skills brought together in a way that's more productive. It's basically what I'm trying to say is it's more powerful than the sum of its parts. A question for you, Dan. At a more practical level, what's it like to work at the SI? What's the day-to-day experience for someone that's part of your team, part of the A&D team?
Yeah, absolutely. So there's never a dull moment here at the SEI. You wear lots of different hats. You get a chance to work on lots of different projects, and you get to apply your expertise in lots of different organizational contexts, right? So at any day, you might be setting up a requirements elicitation meeting with some industry partner. Then later that afternoon, working on a penetration test of a critical infrastructure provider. or even rolling up your sleeves and getting into a government network or system and trying to find vulnerabilities there. Another real key piece of our work is how do we transition what we're finding, the tooling that we're developing, into operational communities. So Jesse and team do a fantastic job with outreach and transition, and it really is a collective effort in terms of getting the message out, getting the great work that we're getting out into these different communities. So represented in conferences like WESIS and the Diana Initiative and a variety of other places where we've been to share our work and to do it in ways that is accessible to a very broader audience than just going to DEF CON and Black Hat, which we've been to before, and we certainly maintain a presence there. But outreach and transition is another really key piece that I wanted to make sure got some time kind of during this conversation.
Thanks, Dan. Jesse, a question, or thought occurs to me rather. So I know that by background, you've spent a lot of time doing software development, and that's part of the overall mission set for us, is it not, right, with pen testing? So I was just wondering, I think we've done a good job of exploring what penetration testers do and what it means to perform that sort of testing of networks. Maybe could you please just explain to us a little of the tool set or the software development that comes with this set of activities that we have in penetration testing?
Absolutely. So this is near and dear to my heart because it's something I've been working on for many years at the SEI. So we have tools that assist our penetration testers in the more routine and things that you could automate or abstract away from them. So we have a tool right now that's in development that will be released publicly eventually. That assists our operators in collecting the findings on a penetration testing assessment and helps teams standardize their process. So what we found through the research of talking to a lot of operators, talking to a lot of pen testers, is that this is one of the messiest and most annoying parts of the assessment is pulling together all of those notes and pulling together all of that information in a standardized way so that the rest of your team can understand it, so that the customer that you're reporting to can understand it, and so that you're spending most of your time doing actual, using your skill set rather than writing documents. So we've tried to identify areas where in the process or methodology we could automate some things and make them easier so that the pen testers are spending the time doing what they do best. So we've got some report generation tools. We've got some tools that help other cybersecurity assessments. We've got some analytics tools to understand the impact and the current posture of certain domains, of cybersecurity domains within certain communities. We've got one of the other things I should mention is really applying the software design lifecycle or the way that we approach software development to the cybersecurity domain, to penetration testing, and the requirement solicitation and understanding the needs of the users and the operators. That's been really key. I think that's really how the marriage happened in this group of we had some software developers and we had some pen testers, and we found that we could really only develop really good software for these pen testers if we were really embedded with them, and we spent a lot of time understanding their needs and figuring out how we can have a greater impact. So over time, those relationships formed, and we realized, this is kind of the dream team, right? Like we can solve problems in this domain using these software development skills, things like human-centered design, UX, to better visualize processes or better visualize processes or better design tools so that they are extremely easy to use and even enjoyable to use for our operators. So it's really advancing the state of the practice in all the ways that we can think of, whether it's the technical prowess of our operators, advancing methodologies of services that we offer on our pen testing engagement, designing tools for all of those things I just mentioned, and then validating with our customers and our users and our operators that what we built and what we're doing is the right thing. And so we always want to make sure we're on track, that we're actually providing impact, and we have methods and practices that help us do that.
Thanks, Jesse. So what I'm hearing is that there's an evolution or a maturation of pen testing. And that makes me think about where we're headed. So Dan and Jesse, I'd also like your thoughts as well. Where is penetration testing headed, and where's red teaming? So as a category of some things that we do, where do you see this going in 5 years or 10 years?
From art to science.
From art to science, okay.
So it very much is still kind of in its artful stages, meaning it's hard for a penetration tester to tell you what they did, when they did it, why they did it, and why they didn't choose door number 2 or 3, right? Mm-hmm. When you're scanning a network or trying to find places to pivot, right? Or you're doing this under time constraints, or you're doing this under resource constraints. There are lots of different decisions that you can make kind of along the way. And when you talk to some of the best penetration testers in the world, they have a hard time getting out why they chose option A or door number 1 over option B and door number 2. And one of the key pieces that we're doing with regards to really leaning into the process here is instrumenting those processes with the telemetry that we can use to at least start with, these are the steps that you took. And this is a lot of the work that Jesse and team are working on now, which is how do you instrument the environment in which a penetration test is conducted so you can say, okay, these were the specific steps that were taken. And now we can start looking at this as a decision support system problem. Right? How do we make it easier for you to get to the point where we now need a human to tell us whether it's door A or door B that we need to open? Past that, it's a lot of the scale and complexity that we see with lots of other measurements we make within cybersecurity. How do we make them faster? How do we make them more reliable? And how do we take the results of a penetration test and get that into the hands of a business decider to help them use that output in a more risk-based decision-making process than we're currently doing? Lots of layers of translation have to happen between I popped this box and exploited this vulnerability using this technique to what a CISO should do in response to the findings that you've got for a particular assessment. So that's the way I would kind of characterize where we're at and where we think the next several years are headed.
Thanks, Sid.
Yeah, absolutely agree with everything, of course, that Dan said. He said it very well. The only thing I would add really is that, the baby steps to sort of get there are really the devil's in the details. And so when we are becoming much more focused on the human and the person, the CISO, our customers, our users, and when we center the human and we understand their needs, then we can address problems either through a process, through a technology, or what other options there are. but yeah, so really kind of moving towards that level of this is something that a machine could do for you, or this is something a process can do for you, and this is something we actually need an expert to weigh in on.
Yeah, I really like that description. So it sounds like we're describing the smart or selective application of automation. Mm-hmm. So the suggestion isn't that in 10 years there's no one doing penetration testing, but rather perhaps they're focused on the higher value aspects of penetration testing, and we've now routinized and made simple the pieces that can be automated.
Absolutely.
So, and if you're interested in joining us and advancing the state of the art, advancing the state of the practice, again, please do have a look at our jobs that are on the website. I'm thinking about the future of tech and then the corollary being the future of pen testing. I think what I've described is absolutely where we're headed, but there's something we haven't really addressed yet in our conversation, which seems like the free space and bingo that we have to talk about is AI. So is there a specific set of techniques or skills or tools that we need to construct to penetration test artificial intelligence and machine learning-based systems in the future?
So, yeah, go ahead. Do you want to start?
Oh, you go ahead.
So it's so there's two approaches here, right? There is what role can AI help us in conducting penetration testing, right? And then how can we apply the principles of penetration testing to systems that field artificial intelligence capabilities, right? And certainly research has kind of occurred on both ends of that spectrum. You think about things like Mayhem that's being used kind of within the DoD currently. And there's a lot of work still to be done with regards to identifying those decision boundaries, right? Like everyone's in agreement that we're still at a point where we're not comfortable just letting robots go break things without a human in the loop at some point. Now, there's arguments to be made about where that point is, and there also might be different arguments to be made for, is that point the same for one organization to the next? So there's lots of work, I think, still to be done with regards to setting those decision boundaries. And Matt, I think you tapped into something that is a little bit less explored when we're thinking about what do we need to do to adapt or tailor our our penetration testing capabilities when it comes to artificial intelligence-enabled capabilities. You think about data poisoning and attacks. We've got great research happening in the SEI here with regards to some of these low and slow approaches to how we can confuse or inject vulnerabilities into the data that's going into these systems in the first place. There are a variety of different attack vectors for artificial intelligence capabilities that we're starting to have our penetration testers think about how this comes into the overarching process. So both of those avenues are still ripe for further exploration and more technical solutions to be developed.
Thanks. Jesse, other thoughts?
Yeah, definitely. So I agree with everything that Dan just said, and also thinking about the sort of the smaller applications within our processes that we can apply these principles to. So we do have work coming up, actually in the pipeline now, where we are taking these questions and thinking about how we can incorporate those into our tooling, and we have. We have these amazing people here at the organization to collaborate with. And so if you're interested in these questions, if you're interested in AI, in pen testing and cybersecurity, help us solve these problems. Absolutely. Help us talk about it, because we definitely have very specific use cases that are coming up. But the sky is the limit. And that's the great thing about working at the SEI, is that you get to, in Dan's words, choose your own adventure.
Yep.
So you get to work on a lot of interesting problems and apply that multidisciplinary approach.
Thanks, Jesse. So there's a question from the audience, and the question is, how does a penetration tester stay current? How do they learn about and ensure they're on the cutting edge of understanding vulnerabilities? Thoughts about how someone maintains that currency and expertise?
Yes. So it's probably different for, I'll just give my understanding based on, my role as a team lead and the relationships I have in the community is what we're learning from so many pen testers is, practicing. So you have to practice, getting lab time, Hack the Box, OSSEC Academy, have a Twitter account. Twitter is it
seems very prominent in the penetration community.
It surely is, yeah. And so really engaging with the community in those ways, there's specific trainings that you could take. And that's another great thing about working at the SEI is that we support you in your professional development goals. And so we have folks that are, working on these trainings right now. And then we have sort of more casual, we would, your professional development sort of budget that we have, you could apply it to, it doesn't have to be a course. It could be self-study, or, we pair people with more experienced people so that they can learn from them. And so I would say, it's a combination of, staying close to your community, staying close to the people that that are cutting edge, following the SEI and our blog. I know we have some things in the pipeline. Keeping up to date on sort of the what's being talked about at DEF CON, Black Hat, the Diana Initiative, and Twitter, and getting involved in your communities. So Dan mentioned earlier these communities of influence of Diana Initiative and the Women in Cybersecurity, WESIS, and we are actually a strategic partner of WESIS. So we have folks on our team that give presentations monthly to groups in WESIS and talking about, asking questions, answering questions from the community, and everyone's kind of coming together and sharing that. So, this particular setup, the Intersect, is all about, academia, the academia, industry, et cetera. And we want to apply that same level of community engagement to our work that academia has. So I would say that's a really long answer to say it depends on who you are, right? But, community, official training courses, mentorship, and Twitter.
Excellent. Well, that sounds like a perfect place to stop. Unfortunately, we're out of time.
Oh, I'm so sorry, Dan.
I
You didn't get a chance to answer.
No, I'm sorry. Did you have something? We do have a few more seconds if you have a...
So the only thing I would add is this is not like riding a bike, right?
It's not like riding a bike.
Stop doing it and then come back 5 years later and just keep doing it the way that you were doing it, right?
Yes.
So there is a need to stay constant, right? And one of the things about our professional development opportunities is continuously, right? This is not once a year I'm going to go to a conference for a day, right? But it's getting in there, getting into the lab, right? And going through your paces as the threat landscape changes.
Right.
You've got to stay up with it, right? And it's that repeated, continuous eye towards staying up to date with what's changing, what's new, what's different.
So it's more a pilot's license than a fishing license.
There you go.
And on that, we do have to wrap up. Thanks again. I appreciate the conversation. I really hope for those in the audience that if you're interested in being a breaker or a builder or a little of both, that you do take a look at the opportunities that are available on the SCI website. And I'll be seeing you soon in another episode of The Intersect.